Hello, Lesson 3.3 Continental Drift Theory. So, the learning objectives identify the evidence that Wegener had in support of his continental drift hypothesis. Notice I did not say theory. Um, and apply the steps of scientific method to Wegener's scientific investigation, which he did many, many years ago. What does a scientist do with an interesting observation? Well, Alfred Wegener made an observation. From that observation, he made a hypothesis. He collected evidence that would support or refute, go against his hypothesis. And what did that process look like? Well, Wegener's idea. Wegener was born in 1880 and was a meteorologist, or a person who studies weather, and an explorer. In 1910, he noticed that South America and Africa appeared to fit together like puzzle pieces. He was certainly not the first person to notice this, but he was intrigued by the idea and thought a lot about it. He wondered if the two continents were once joined and then moved apart. He set out to find evidence to support or refute this idea. And when you're doing scientific method, kids, you have to do for your argument and against your argument. So you have to find evidence for and evidence to refute or go against what you're thinking. Wegener's evidence. Here is the main evidence that Wegener and his supporters collected for his continental drift hypothesis. And kids, there are six of these pieces of evidence. The fit of the continents. The continents appeared to fit together, not just South America and Africa. If the continental margins are included, the fit is even better. The distribution of fossils. Wegener found fossil evidence that the continents were once joined. The same types of plants and animal fossils are found on continents that are now widely separated. These organisms would not have been able to travel across the oceans. So, how did the fossils get so far apart? Fossils from the seed fern Glossopteris are found across all of the southern continents. These seeds are too heavy to be carried across the ocean by the wind. Mesosaurus fossils are found in South America and South Africa. Mesosaurus could swim, but only in fresh water. Cynogenea, the C one and the L one, were reptiles that lived on the land. Both of these animals were unable to swim at all, but their fossils have been found across South America, Africa, India, and Antarctica. Wegener thought that all of these organisms must have lived side by side. The lands later moved apart, and so the fossils were separated. And kids, you can see here the different colors show how the different organisms lived around on the different continents. But kids, there's only one that was on all 5 of those tectonic plates. The distribution of rocks and structures. Wegener found rocks of the same type and age on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean. He thought that it could not be a coincidence. He said that the rocks must have formed side by side. These rocks then drifted apart on separate continents. Wegener also matched up mountain ranges across the Atlantic Ocean. The Appalachian Mountains were just like mountain ranges in eastern Greenland, Ireland, and Great Britain and Norway. What? Wegener concluded that they formed as a single mountain range. This mountain range broke apart as the continents split up. The mountain range separated as the continents drifted apart. Climate zones. Climate zones, climate found in zones around the planet. Warm tropical climates are mostly found around the equator. Glaciers are mostly found near the poles. Wegener assumed that these things were true in the ancient past. Glaciers. Wegener looked at evidence from ancient glaciers. Glaciers are found in very cold climates near the poles. The evidence left by some ancient glaciers is very close to the equator. Did glaciers once exist near the poles? Wegener knew that this was extremely unlikely. However, if the continents had moved, the glaciers would have been centered closer to the South Pole. Tropics. Coral reefs are found only in warm water. Cool swamps are also found in tropical and subtropical environments. Wegener discovered ancient Wegener discovered ancient coal seams and coral reef fossils in areas that are much too cold today. Wegener thought that ancient coral and coal plants existed at about the same latitude where they are found today. He again stated that it was the continents that moved. Think about it, guys. Coal Strip, Montana, just what, 2 hours down the road? And we had plants that were so huge. I mean, they definitely were from a tropical time period here in Coal Strip, Montana. Okay, so kids, there's the summary, there's the review questions, and the explore more questions. Kids, I don't think you'll have a problem with these, but I did put the practice questions on 2 different slides. So take your time, do a good job.